What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Dazzling fashion show, private boat ride with Ridge and Brooke. The Bold and the Beautiful reveal that Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan will have a private boat ride. Let's talk about what's in store for Tuesday's exciting B&B episode, because there will also be a stunning fashion show. Luisa Beccaria is a popular Italian designer who's joined forces with Forrester Creations on a new fashion line. Naturally, now is the time for a fashion show that will delight those in attendance and generate publicity for the business. The event will take place in Capri on the La Canzone del Mir terrace, where Eric Forrester will make a speech and raise a glass as he addresses the crowd. Ridge and Brooke will participate in this activity with the group, but they will also have some time to themselves. Before the fashion show, Brooke and Ridge will take a private boat ride to Capri, giving them a chance to get to know each other and talk about their previous trips to Italy. Ridge may find it increasingly difficult to focus on his commitment to Taylor Hayes, especially since she's all the way back in Los Angeles. Brooke will reconnect with Ridge as they experience some magical moments together, so it's safe to say he'll be distracted from his engagement. Eric will keep playing Cupid in the hope that Ridge will finally realize Brooke is his future. However, Nick Marone, who has his own big plans involving Brooke, a boat, and Capri, will stand in the way of Ridge and Brooke's reunion. Brooke's on the verge of getting fed up with Ridge and turning her attention to Nick instead, so Ridge's jealous side will definitely come out. Until then, fans will see lots of fashion show fun and all the gorgeous designs that come with an event like this. It'll be a fantastic way to kick off this Italy adventure and will set the tone for all the excitement to come. According to the Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge and Nick's actions in the upcoming episodes will cause Brooke's emotions to fluctuate, so stay tuned for any significant romantic news. Bridge's boat ride. Eric's toast features Luisa Beccaria. The Bold and the Beautiful will air on July 29, 2025, on Tuesday. The Italian fashion designer Luisa Beccaria is expected to appear at the show. In the meantime, Eric Forrester gives the crowd a toast. Additionally, Brooke Logan and Ridge Forrester share a boat ride. Continue reading, and let's talk about what will happen in the upcoming CBS soap opera episode. Italian Adventure. Let's begin with the adventure in Italy. Forrester Creations team is going to Capri and Naples. There will be a huge fashion show, and the team will collaborate with Italian designer Luisa Beccaria. It has been hinted that the designer will assist FC by hosting a fashion show on the terrace of La Canzone del Mir in Capri. The boat ride of Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan. Ridge and Brooke board a boat together in a preview for this week. They are speeding towards a cliff, where Eric and Donna Logan urge them to come on up. However, we also see Nick Marone desperately trying to get to Brooke. Fans know that in Monday's episode, Nick asked Brooke to leave her itinerary in his office. What happens if those plans are altered at the last moment? I could see Eric pulling something like that to make sure Nick stays away from Ridge. We also know, though, that Nick is a pretty resourceful individual. The toast of Eric Forrester. According to the Tuesday, July 29 spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Eric will address the audience. At the fashion show, how likely is it that Eric does something to bring Ridge and Brooke closer together once more? Could Eric's speech include something about destiny or Bridge? Taylor Hayes frets. Taylor Hayes will hope that Brooke and Ridge don't get together while they're in Italy. Before the trip, Taylor had a nasty argument with Brooke, in which she told the blonde to be careful around Ridge. However, Brooke is so insistent that Ridge is her only suitor. I have to wonder if Taylor will end up in Italy, especially if she hears that Nick has lost Brooke and Ridge. When Taylor was spying on Ridge and Brooke in Rome, we once watched. Could she secretly end up overseas, and not even let Ridge know she's there? Just how desperate will Taylor get to hang on to her man? On a sun-drenched morning along the sparkling shores of Capri, the world of the Bold and the Beautiful pivoted on the edge of fashion, romance, and emotional chaos as Ridge Forrester and Brooke Logan found themselves alone on a private boat ride that would redefine the trajectory of their enduring and turbulent relationship. Brooke's thoughts swirled with anticipation, regret, and long-suppressed longing as she gazed out across the aquamarine sea as the Mediterranean breeze danced through her golden hair. Ridge, ever the enigmatic artist torn between duty and passion, stood beside her with a gaze that couldn't be mistaken, one full of emotional history, present tension, and the undeniable pull of destiny. Eric Forrester, who was always the heart's puppeteer, hoped that this impromptu trip would rekindle a flame that he believed had never truly died. The ride was a gift that was orchestrated in part by fate and in part by Eric Forrester. As their boat glided through the waters toward the breathtaking terrace of La Canzone del Mar, The sight of the upcoming Forrester fashion show, the silence between Ridge and Brooke was weighted, not awkward but electric, steeped in memories of past trips to Italy, previous declarations of love, and the bittersweet ache of what could have been if life hadn't repeatedly gotten in the way. Their conversation was slow to start but profound once it flowed, reminiscing about Rome, Portofino, and past collections presented under the Italian sun, as well as the unspoken questions lingering between them about the future and whether destiny still had a plan for Bridge. Ridge, torn by loyalty to Taylor Hayes back in Los Angeles, silently questioned the sincerity of his own engagement, becoming increasingly aware that his heart had never stopped beating for Brooke. Brooke opened up about her disillusionment with the triangular pain she had endured. The boat gently rocked as Ridge reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from Brooke's face, and in that fleeting contact, everything changed. Memories surged like waves, and desire, long suppressed, found its voice again. However, whereas the boat ride was intimate and soul-searching, the fashion show that followed was nothing short of stunning and a high-stakes display of elegance and ambition in the Italian sky. The La Canzone del Mare terrace buzzed with journalists, influencers, and buyers as Forrester Creations unveiled its latest collaboration with renowned Italian designer Luisa Beccaria, whose romantic vision paired seamlessly with the brand's legacy of haute couture. Models glided down the makeshift runway in flowing silks and intricately embroidered gowns, echoing the elegance of old-world Capri with a modern twist. Eric Forrester took center stage to make a toast, his speech poised, nostalgic, and clearly laced with hope for his son's emotional clarity. To love, he said, glass raised high, to destiny, and to never letting it slip through our fingers. His words were more than just a wish for the collection's success. They were also a beacon directed directly at Ridge and Brooke, who were standing off stage in a gaze that said more than either of them could say. Ridge barely heard the roar of the applause because his mind was a whirlwind of emotions, and the pounding of his heart now echoed the swell of the sea. Across the terrace, Nick Marone arrived, eyes scanning the crowd for Brooke, holding tightly to the velvet ring box tucked into his jacket, unaware that his romantic gesture was already unraveling. Brooke, radiant in a blush-toned silk gown chosen specially for her by Luisa Beccaria herself, felt like the woman she used to be before years of scandal, rivalry, and loss dulled her shine. Ridge was unable to stifle his gaze. But tension brewed when Nick finally spotted her and made his way to her side, gently ushering her away from Ridge. The two men's eyes locked like swords mid-duel, each carrying decades of rivalry, betrayal, and shared history. Nick tried to recreate the magic he believed still existed between him and Brooke, offering her a chance to escape the cycle of heartache and rekindle what they once had on their own private boat ride around the island. Brooke, on the other hand, was emotionally disoriented despite being moved by his effort. Ridge's earlier vulnerability and the intimacy of their morning together still reverberated within her, and Nick's well-intentioned proposal began to feel like a detour from her true path. Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles, Taylor Hayes was growing increasingly anxious. She had hoped Brooke's involvement in the fashion show would remain professional, but instinct told her otherwise. After her confrontation with Brooke before the Italy trip, Taylor had expected friction, but the distance was now agonizing. Taylor's worst fears began to become reality as updates began to trickle in from mutual friends and media coverage. Nick's presence complicated things further. He was supposed to distract Brooke, but if he failed, Taylor knew there would be nothing left keeping Ridge from falling back into old patterns. And what would happen if, like in Rome, she flew unannounced back to Italy? Is it romantic or desperate in Ridge's opinion? Did she care if it meant she could stop the inevitable? As the sun began to set, casting golden rays across the sea and painting the cliffs in warm hues, Ridge finally caught Brooke alone again. Her cheeks were flushed, not from wine or heat, but from the whirlwind of emotions that had seized her since stepping onto Italian soil. Ridge didn't waste time. He confessed that the boat ride had stirred something in him, something he had tried to bury but could no longer ignore. He spoke of destiny, the depth of their shared past, and his growing doubts about his future with Taylor. Brooke, ever cautious after years of heartbreak, tried to hold back tears. She reminded him of the pain, the lies, the cycles they kept repeating. But Ridge didn't flinch. He promised that this time would be different, that the fire between them wasn't just history, it was still burning, still alive. Their conversation was interrupted by cheers from the terrace as the fashion show reached its finale. Ridge leaned in and kissed Brooke in the brilliant flashes of color and light as fireworks exploded over the sea. Not a kiss of temptation or nostalgia, but rather one of clarity and determination. Nick watched from a distance, his hopes unraveling with every second.